G'day everyone, welcome to another edition of Chris Rankin's Music Crush. I'm going to do kind of two things in one. Mainly it's a response to a thread that Ron Haggerty started. Ron Haggerty's Vinyl Sanctuary, definitely one of my favourite channels, and he's a really great friend. So I'll put a link to his channel in the description. Also going to talk about just briefly a few of the new albums that I listen to. I always listen to as many of the new release albums that come out each Friday as I can. And I thought this was a good opportunity to talk about them before I get into Ron's thread. The new Krallice album, fantastic, just absolutely fantastic album. I love it. The Stortregn album, I think that's how you pronounce, might be up there for my album of the year so far. Pretty likely, just a fantastic blend of black metal, death metal, progressive death metal, technical death metal, just everything that you look for in a great album. The new Pupil Slicer album, fantastic album. Enforced. Malist have a great new album out, it was really good. Sepulcros, a new album that's great. Varmia, Issa, Secret Sphere. I'm pretty sure that's all the new albums that I can think of. But anyway, I'll put the list of them, of all the ones that I love this week, also in the description of the video. But the main reason I'm doing this video is that Ron started a great thread called Let There Be Blood. And he said show albums, I think he said show 10 albums. I may have a couple of more than 10, but show 10 albums to do with blood, bleed, on the cover and the song titles, the name of the band, all that sort of stuff. I went through my collection and I had heaps, like into the hundreds of things that I could have showed. So I whittled it down, and this is what I've got. So I'll get through them pretty quick. I won't go over the top into the description of the bands and the albums. I might put them in some of my listening videos where I go a bit more into depth. But anyway, so here you go, Ron, and everyone, this is a response to his Let There Be Blood thread. So first up, those crazy Swedes, you know how much. Oh, first of all, I've got my Death Scream Bloody Gore shirt on, and of course this is Death's earlier logo that had all the blood dripping on it as well, so I thought that would be a right thing to wear for this. But yeah, those crazy Swedes, of course I'm talking about Meshuggah, and this guy here covered in blood, and you can see all the pool of blood that's coming out of there as well. But also one of their biggest songs and one of their big singles, one of the most popular songs of all time, of course, is Bleed, with that amazingly nasty film clip, just really quite eerie and creepy and nasty film clip, but just such a great song, one of their most well-known songs, Meshuggah. Bleed, of course, this is off their 2008 Obscene album. Love this album to bits. Love Meshuggah to bits. Next, the mighty Bloodbath. So blood for the name of the band, Bloodbath, and then of course you got that great cover. This is their Varkan Carnage. This is a live CD, but also a live DVD. It's a beautiful, as you can see, it's like an actual book, comes in a book. Of course, Bloodbath, this was the best lineup, if you ask me too. This is with Michael Ackerfeld at the time, Lord Dan Swano, that I call him, one of my favourite musicians, and of course you've got Anders and Jonas from Catatonia on this, and you've also got Martin Axenrod, who of course is the drummer for a long time of Opeth. If you don't know Bloodbath, one of the greatest death metal bands of all time. But also, let me just show you through here, because this set that they did at Varkan, they were all covered in blood. So there's Michael Ackerfeld, and then you've got Anders. See how they're all covered in blood? So this fits the thread. You've got, that's Jonas. So of course Anders and Jonas, both from Catatonia. And there he is, the great man himself, Dan Swano. I did a bit of a good long talk about him not long ago, about all the different bands and so forth that he's in. And of course Martin as well. So it's a wonderful package. All the lyrics, you get the one of them. I can't remember which one's which. One of them is the CD of the live set. The other one is the DVD, of course, in the blood colour as well. So they might, and oh yeah, look, there's someone's digit on the back there with a whole lot of blood coming out of it. So yeah, Bloodbath, the Varkan Carnage. If you don't know Bloodbath, you need to check them out. They are one of the best death metal bands of all time. You know, it's almost a supergroup really, but when you got the powers of Jonas Anders, Michael Ackerfeld, and Dan Swano writing, then you know, you're obviously going to get only good stuff. And that was 2008. I didn't look on the package at the time, but I'm pretty sure it's 2008. Next, Suicide, their 1977 album Suicide. I've shown this before, but I thought this is perfect to show because you got all the blood on the front there. 1977 synth punk album, minimalist synth as well. Great album from New York, great band from New York. Next, Amorphous, their 2015 album, Under the Red Cloud. Now my favourite song on here is Bad Blood, and not only is it my favourite song on this album, well, there's a few favourite things about all of this. So this is my favourite Amorphous album. It used to be Tales from a Thousand Lakes and Silent Waters. They were kind of a draw, but then when this monster came out in 2015, it edged them, which is quite amazing considering all the history I had with those two albums. But this is one of the most catchiest, well-written, hook-laden heavy metal albums of all time. A perfect blend of growls and cleans, big memorable chorus that you'll sing all through the grocery store the next day and on your way to work. Just magnificent. And yeah, Bad Blood is on here, so that's where you get the blood for this one. So yeah, Bad Blood is pretty close to my favourite Amorphous song of all time. Not only is it my favourite song on this album, but pretty close to my favourite song of all time with that amazing big hook riff, just so catchy. Love it. So Amorphous, Bad Blood, so good. That band they just keep going. They're just strong, absolutely strong. They never stop. Next, from Jakarta, Indonesia, we have Siksa Kabur and their album Tentara Merah Darah. So you're asking, where is the blood? Well, Darah in Bahasa Indonesia is blood. So there we go. I thought I'd be a little bit clever there and show blood, but in a different language. Tentara Merah Darah means Blood Red Army. This is probably my favourite Siksa Kabur album. Fantastic death metal from Jakarta, Indonesia. One of the real big bands, along with Jasad, Burger Kill, Death Vomit, Siksa Kabur. They're probably the real... Seringai and Noxa would be the other real big Indonesian bands. Very prolific band, Siksa Kabur. Siksa Kabur is actually a Bahasa Indonesia translation of Sepultura, so torment the grave or punish the grave. So they got the name from Sepultura, translated into Bahasa Indonesia, and that's where you get Siksa Kabur. And there we are, Tentara Merah Darah. So Darah is the word for blood in Bahasa Indonesia. That was I can't remember the year of that album. It'll come to me in a minute. It'll definitely come to me. Now, next up, the fabulous Armoured Saint. Brilliant album. Raising Fear, 1987, of course. This is their third album with the great John Bush. This would obviously be their last album with the lead guitarist Dave Pritchard, who unfortunately passed away not so long after this album came out. I think he may have recorded a little bit for the next one, but yeah, this was pretty much it. Now, the song on here, I don't know if you can see it, you'll have to trust me if you can't, but is Book of Blood. And just, I love Armoured Saint. Maybe one day I'll do an Armoured Saint video. Absolutely love Armoured Saint. I love everything John Bush has done. His time in Anthrax, of course, Stomp 442 is my favourite Anthrax album. Just everything. Absolutely love this album so much. Brilliant band. 2010 was the Siksa Kabur album. 2010. I knew it would just come to me. Next up, we've got Suffocation and their 2009 album, Blood Oath. Pretty easy what this is there. There's the blood, even the song, the opening number, Blood Oath. And as you can see, the whole album, the whole artwork is all blood, the whole bit of it. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the sixth album by Suffocation, 2009. Brilliant album. I've told you a few times about my getting to meet and hang out with Suffocation. I love Suffocation very, very much. Just that I love New York death metal. New York death metal is so good, really good. Next up, we've got Blood Incantation. So that logo says Blood Incantation. Fantastic progressive death metal band, technical death metal band out of Denver, Colorado. I've got both of their albums. The first one, Star Spawn, and then this one, which is it's a long title, The Hidden History of the Human Race. Magnificent, all about weird science fiction sort of stories in their songs. Just majestic, epic masterpiece of a mix of progressive metal and death metal. Really quite different. Doesn't sound like any other album. They don't sound like any other band. And boy, Colorado has become a real hotbed of great, interesting, extreme metal. You've got these guys. You've got Of Feather and Bone, which just a really sinister, nasty sounding death metal band. You've got Cobalt, which are quite an interesting black metal band. You've got Primitive Man, which is the very caustic, sludgy sounding extreme band. You've also got Wayfarer as well, which are just incredible. They're a mix between black metal and, I wouldn't say country, but yeah, just like they call themselves frontier black metal. And it's one of the few bands that I could ever believe that you could boot, scoot and headbang to while wearing corpse paint at the same time. Wayfarer, their latest album, was in my top 5 of 2020. But we're talking about Blood Incantation, so that's where the blood... I don't think there's anything on the back here that has blood. No, just the name of the band. Blood Incantation. So good. That was a 2019 album. Next up. Do I need to say anything? Rain in Blood. Of course, the song, Raining Blood. You've got all the blood coming through there. I don't need to go much into this album. 1986, Slayer. Everyone knows that album. So good. That was a pretty obvious choice. You got blood all the way through this album. This band, I could have shown almost any album cover, really. But this one, I thought I'll go with this because the title, The Bleeding, Cannibal Corpse. The Bleeding, 1994. This is my favourite Cannibal Corpse album. I think the songwriting is the best on this album. Absolutely fantastic. Just everything about this album, so good. Next up, from Perth, we've got Bloodlust. This is their 2019 album, Leather, Steel and Hell. Great band. So you got blood in the title there, Bloodlust. Just a great band. Love this band very, very much. I've talked about them a couple of times before. They had 2 full-length albums before this, and then this EP. Very similar sound to sort of Celtic Frost, sort of that blackened thrash style. Just love them to bits. Yeah, such a great band. Bloodlust. And last, and yeah, I've gone over 10. This makes 12. Sorry, Ron. I couldn't help myself. This is the band Angel Dust, a band from Germany. First album they started out with was a real thrash speed metal album. Then they went away from the thrash and was more speed and heavy metal. And by the time they got to this album, this is their 4th album. This is 1999. Of course, the title of the album is Bleed. And they were sort of more US power metal sound by this stage. US power metal, heavy metal. Such a great band. Love Angel Dust so much. If you don't know them, check them out. Really top-notch band. And yeah, so the title of the album is Bleed, and then also the title track, of course, then is Bleed as well. So there we go. That's my entry into Ron's, well, not an entry, just participation in his thread, that his Let There Be Blood thread. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Hope maybe you saw some bands you never heard of before and check them out. And if you've already got them, then you might pull them off the rack and give them a play yourself. But yeah, take part in Ron's thread. Please check out his channel, Ron Haggerty's Vinyl Sanctuary, and subscribe to it. I really appreciate that. And as I say, I'll put a little list of the new releases that I loved that came out Friday just gone. So thank you all for watching. Thank you very much. And I'll catch you all soon.